February 17 were met with live fire from Gaddafi's troops. Sympathetic soldiers are said to have opened up military warehouses to help civilians defend themselves, creating a new chapter in Green Mountain's history of resistance. Further east in Tobruk, video from the local airport shows the intensity of battles that raged here. Hundreds of bullet casings lie on the ground, while inside, blood-stained floors show a passenger terminal that became a war zone.
Thank God we won. They had weapons, but we had stones. God helped and we won. All Arabs must do something to stop this Goliath. Where is the United Nations?
Another tank sits on the Tobruk airport runway, an apparent attempt to stop Colonel Gaddafi sending more forces in to take up a fight that in the east of Libya he appears to be losing. Dan Nolan, Al Jazeera.
Well, still to come on the News Hour.
A rubber stamping process that is a result of a European arrest warrant system run amok.
Julian Assange hits out at the system which wants to send him to Sweden for questioning. Plus
2, 1. Booster ignition and the final liftoff of Discovery.
We won't be seeing this for much longer. The 39th step and the final one for the Space Shuttle Discovery.
The next Rizkan show, rock star and activist Yusuf Islam, formerly known as Cat Stevens, reveals the origins of his new song celebrating the popular uprisings in Egypt and beyond. Rizkan, at this time on Al Jazeera.
He's taken stolen goods and he's now dumping them onto the world without any sort of consideration for consequences.
From people making the news.
If the North will be saved a lot of trouble, I think it is important that they should come together.
To those it affects.
We do accept that there was very bad mistakes made in our banking area.
Behind the headlines.
Most South Koreans are not interested in reunification.
Is the inside story. At this time on Al Jazeera.
If you're a Nokia user, you can download Al Jazeera's News widget from Nokia's Ovis store. The News widget, available on compatible Nokia devices, gives users quick and easy access to real-time news updates from Al Jazeera English. See the world in real time. Al Jazeera Mobile.
Welcome back. You're watching the Al Jazeera News Hour live from Doha and Washington. Let's give you a quick reminder of the events taking place in Libya. That's our top story right now. Residents of Benghazi say these pictures you're looking at, obtained by Reuters news agency, are of mercenaries hired by Muammar al-Gaddafi to crack down on protesters. Well, Libya's embattled leader is blaming Osama bin Laden and al-Qaeda for fueling the uprising against him. In his second address to the nation since it began, Gaddafi continued to sound defiant, but spoke via phone rather than in vision. Well, that statement came as there was heavy fighting in the town of Zawiya. That's just 50 kilometers west of the capital, Tripoli. Fighting going on there between opposition forces and Gaddafi loyalists. Well, further to the west, police and soldiers reportedly deserting Gaddafi's regime in the town of Zawara. The opposition says it's now in control. Well, as we've been reporting, most of eastern Libya is now under the control of the opposition. Groups here are looking ahead to forming a new government free from Gaddafi's control. Our correspondent, who we're not naming for her own safety, sent us this report from the country's east.
Well, here in the east of the country, people say that they have liberated their area. Even though there are no celebrations yet, there is still tension in the air, anxiety in the air. People do follow very closely the speeches made by Muammar Gaddafi, and even though some of them discard some of the threats he makes, others would tell you he is an unpredictable man, and they do fear some sort of counter-offensive. Otherwise, on the political side, it seems that tribal leaders have now rallied around the former Justice minister who's resigned just a few days ago in protest of the violent crackdown. He has met with tribal leaders. They're trying to form what seems to be a provisional government. Certainly they do say that there will be no dialogue with Tripoli, that they're asking for the fall of the regime. And at the same time, they're trying to find a way to bring back civilian rule to the area here. They're also trying to find a way to rewrite the constitution. One interesting point is that you won't see anymore the green flag. That was the flag that represented, that came to Libya when Muammar Gaddafi became the leader, but rather now you do see the pre-Gaddafi era flag, and that is the monarchy flag.
Well, Emike Amolu has more on the online activity from our Libya web desk. What's going on there, Emike?
Thanks, Samuel. If you want an example of how the battle for hearts and minds of Libyans is being waged, take a look at this. An army officer who's defected reaches out to the public.
We ask our citizens not to touch any foreign objects they find on the ground, especially ammunition. If you find such objects, please immediately call the relevant authorities who will deal with this matter. From the spokesperson of the armed forces in the Green Mountain to the revolutionary youth.
Well, the footage was obtained by AlJazeera. They are officers based in Green Mountain. That was part of a decree in which they call themselves the forces who have joined the revolutionary youth, part of a new charm offensive, it seems. Well, it's not just them. While Libyan state TV repeats images of pro-Gaddafi rallies, anti-government groups are blogging with their own videos. Case in point, put online a short while ago, this claims to show a secret underground prison found in the eastern city of Benghazi. Other reports say around 300 people were found there. And the makers of this clip say it's yet more evidence of the brutality of Muammar Gaddafi's regime. But there is a spanner in the works. AlJazeera has learned that some opposition sites are now the target of attacks. Libya analyst Tariq Youssef explains.
There's a Libyan website called LibyaWatanuna.com, which lists a host of Libyan opposition web pages. If you click on many of these web pages, you'll find that they're either down, not responding, or they've moved to Facebook. And we have now reports that even some of the Twitter accounts that are being managed by the youth inside of Libya and outside are beginning to look like they might be compromised or they might be unreliable.
Unreliable because the latest fear is that hackers are cracking into web pages and posting misleading information, and it makes the job of scouring the web for sources difficult, but not entirely impossible. We tend to go back to one Twitter page regularly because the tweets come from people's personal contacts phoning in from hotspots. This one, live phone call from Tripoli within the last 2 hours. Government doing a bad job trying to hide what happened. Bullet marks still visible. Now, that's a reference to reports that people recruited by the government have been cleaning up graffiti and blood. Another phone call. People disregarded yesterday's SMS messages